it's a shambles. Everything about this production is a shambles. I mean, I'm not going to blame a cast of crew. I'm going to blame the script. I mean, take a look there. Have you read the dialogue in this? Have you even taken a minute to look at the story? Well, there's nothing. It's been written by some hotshot prima donna that think that this is going to win them an Oscar. Well, I'm telling you this now, it's not. And they think it's clever because it's got a vague title. I mean, a casual conversation. A casual conversation. What does that even mean? Look, I've directed movies with vague titles. You know, Mono. But that worked because it was risky, it was experimental, it was adventurous, and it told the story of depression and loss, and it was great, and it won me the best original screenplay. And this is where that Oscar's got me. You get me? I don't mean to come out of the blue, but do you ever think about sexual relationships and death?
Well, yeah, I suppose I do.
So, do you ever take the time to talk about it amongst other people?
Can't say I do, really. Why? Should I?
Well, most definitely. In fact, you really should. But people don't. You know why?
Go ahead, enlighten me.
You see, it's because us humans, particularly us British, find it incredibly awkward to talk about such things. I mean, isn't it fascinating to you that the two things we find most awkward to talk about is sex, the act that begins life, and death, the very thing that ends it all? I mean, we don't mind talking about all the ins and outs of life. It's just something about the start and the finish that we find, well, just kind of awkward. I mean, sex, to an extent, I can understand why people will find it awkward to talk about in social situations. I mean, sex is a often private, intimate moment between two people, often two lovers. But you see, death just isn't like that. But yet, somehow, out of both those things, sex is the easier thing to talk about. So why is that, do you reckon?
Well, death, it's not very nice. People don't like to talk about it. Well, sex, on the other hand, be made more light-hearted, you know. People joke about sex.
Exactly. Sex can be made funny, but you see, death really can't be made funny. But that's not to say it can't be made easier to talk about. I mean, if we all just accepted the same thing, but one day you're going to die and you will feel absolutely nothing forever, it would make it a much easier topic of conversation. I mean, the problem is religion. You see, religion is only there for one reason: a false sense of security, leading people to believe that one day they're going to rise up to the heavens or reincarnate into some fluffy little poodle. You see, if we all just accepted that when you die, you feel nothing for eternity, it would make it far easier to talk about. Do you get what I mean?
Hey, this is all getting a bit too heavy for a Sunday afternoon. And that's quite a bold statement to make.
But that's my point. It shouldn't be heavy. It should be casual. And that's not a bold statement to make at all, because trust me, I know I'm correct.
You can't possibly know that you're correct.
I can possibly know that I'm correct. And I do know that I'm correct. Look, here, I'll prove it to you. What did you feel before you were born?
Well, I don't know. Nothing, I guess.
Precisely. You felt nothing. And why? Because you didn't exist. So therefore, when you die, you then cease to exist. And as a result of that, you feel, well, you know, you feel nothing. See, now, take a christening. Right? It's a day when family and friends gather around to celebrate the beginning of a new life. You know, it's all colourful and it's fun, and it's just a nice, pleasant experience. Now, take a funeral. It's a day, surely, when people should be celebrating how great somebody's life was, but instead it's all dark and gloomy and depressing. The whole day is just so overshadowed with sadness.
You say it's overshadowed with sadness, but a wake is where you go to celebrate someone's life. A funeral is about saying goodbye.
You see, to an extent, yes, but I propose that many of the people at wakes are there, just like myself, for the free buffet, you know, and the small minority of people who are actually there to talk about the deceased person in question are often all huddled around in corners, sipping their own tears out of their wine glasses. See, I propose that the funeral itself should be much more like a christening, or really any other big occasion for that matter. You see, people should come dressed in their fancy-pantsy, colourful clothes and really have a good laugh and a good reminisce about a life well lived. But you see, I could request my funeral to be just like the scenario that I just described, but it wouldn't go down like that. Because in order for it to go down like the way I just described, people's views on death just need to change. See, the point I'm trying to get across to you is that people just need to be way more comfortable about death.
It's an interesting point you're putting forward, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to disagree with you.
Disagree? Sorry, I don't quite understand.
Well, whether or not you talk about death openly or not, if someone close to you dies, I'm sure you'd feel sad, you know. I'm not sure that you or many other people could just celebrate at this sad time.
No, you see, that's where you're wrong. If we talk about it, we become far more prepared for the situation. I mean, yes, of course, you'll feel the human emotion of sadness, blah, blah, blah. But nonetheless, you'll become far more prepared for it. And as a result of that, you'll be able to create a funeral that is so full of colours and lovely memories, it'll be a happy experience for the whole family. You've of course seen how the Mexicans celebrate death, right? They have all this bright colours and lovely music, and it's a really lovely carnival experience. And you know how they do that? They do it because they accept death. And that's what everybody else needs to do. I mean, look, I smoke. I'm well aware it gives you lung cancer, but I accept death. And that's what people just need to do. They need to open their eyes and just realise that one day death is going to come rat-a-tat-tatting at your door and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, is it really that hard?
What are the chances? Spends 5 minutes talking about death, then keels over and has a heart attack. At least it shut him up.